Well, I don't want to leave the quarterfinals now until we touch upon probably the biggest talking point of this year. And I'm not talking about relegation yet, Tom.
Good.
I'm actually talking about the fact that Oulart are not in the quarterfinals this year. How big a shock is that?
The first game they played, and you were out at Hurling as well, they played Glenbarntown, and
which Glyn should have won.
I went into the game and I looked at it and I said, Ginny, Glyn, well, it's a very tough one for them to start, and Oulart were less than impressive that night, and then I just said that's a bit of a, just a little, wasn't going well for them, and they're just waiting until it comes to the competitive stage of the championship, the knockout. But I think you have to take into account, I think Oulart in their last game started with maybe 6 to 7 players off their county final team last year, so there was only 8 to 9 players playing that played in the county final last year against the Martins, and for any club that's a huge hit. Obviously their age profile was getting a bit higher as well, and in fairness, none of that, I thought as a club, and look, I'm a Buffers Alley man, but they carried their titles very well. They were a team that never said that much. You didn't hear much coming out of Oulart, and that they were a great one of the great club teams. But I will have to admit that I knew there was going to be. It always happens. The club, Colin, this after being up, they're going to slightly go down or whatever. But it has been a lot more dramatic than I would have ever even dreamt. Now I have to say, I still saw Oulart get to the quarterfinals. Bit of luck get to a semi-final. I did not see Oulart. I mean, you bear in mind they had the very same score difference as Glyn, only they scored more. Other than that, we did the Buffers Alley Oulart relegation final. So I have to say, I am a bit surprised this year that Oulart are not in the closing stages of the championship. They're not Jula, so.
Yeah, as Tom said, it had to come to an end sometime. You'd have to wonder where the feed, the conveyor belt is coming through for youngsters to come through for these lads, and they're an oldish team as well, they're 28, 29, they're sort of getting on a small bit, and when Oulart won the first 1 or 2 championship matches, I said to myself, well, I hope to God they never win anymore, You'd be a little bit jealous of teams, like we were with Buffers Alley winning for years, and Rattenure, we said, why you have to be shared around the county? You would get jealous, to be quite honest, and Oulart...
It's because the townies won't come out and play in the rain.
Maybe something to do with that, it's not that you'd be jealous of them winning all, you'd love to say, I'd love to have a county title in my back pocket, for us to be there maybe once every 10 or 12 years wasn't good enough for me or Colin or some of the lads. And other lads accepted because you just go through the championship, you stay senior, you're delighted. You get to a quarter-final the following year, you're delighted. You get to a semi-final, it's great, we'll be in the final next year and all of a sudden you're in the relegation final. So we were sort of up and down or whatever, but Oulart was consistent for a long time, winning titles. They were thereabouts in the early 90s, but Buffers Alley had the upper hand on them then, and Rattenure also had the upper hand on them. And all of a sudden, I think the Fela group came through for Oulart, and they swiped the board for a long time, juvenile, minor, under 21 titles, senior titles. You could see it happening. And now it's after falling off a small bit. It's good for hurling, I think, in general, because St. Martin's now are the big team of the future. People can see them winning 6 or 7 titles within the next 10 years, so 6 out of 10 will be another challenge for them to conquer, and they want to be the new kingpins or whatever, but they've given us Martin Story, Liam Dunn, Tomas Dunn, all these great hurlers that come out of Oulart, and Keith Roster, naturally, all these fabulous, Sean Murphy's still there hurling. But
you know what I thought about Oulart this year? I think Oulart will be back. I think next year they'll make an assault and that they'll but I think what they weren't used to, Oulart they were nearly unflappable, they never panicked, because they always thought they were going to win. I actually could see, geez, this is not going, and they were actually starting to slight bit of panic within them. I think once they get their head around that it's not going to be as easy. I think
they also won the league this year as well. They also won the league this year as well, so it's a little bit of bonus for them. But to say that Oulart is out in the quarter final for the first time, I think is in 20 years. It's doom and gloom up there then for a while, but as Tom says, they will bounce back. There's no question about it. Buffers Alley were in the same boat for years, Rattenure, and they will bounce back. Whether the bounce back stays there as long as they would like it to be, because the team that's consistent for a long time will always pay off at the end.
Is it fair to say, Colin, that there's about 3 or 4 teams there that could win this championship this year?
Yeah, the Martins probably, and the Raps and Gorey. I think that's what it's between. But also, I know you're sort of covering all angles, but you've got Aldgate and the Shells there. Like, any day then get anyone else bar the Martins to think they've a big chance. Like, everyone's wanting to stay away from the Martins
until the actual final.
Until you have to really play them. So, like, it's probably a more open championship, but I don't think the hurling has been as flowing in us, or it doesn't feel as competitive now. That's what I'm just looking in at this year. I'm hoping the weekend will bring it, like, this is do or die stuff now, lads. Like, win or you're gone. Don't be happy with winning the quarter final. I'd love to see all the teams going out and just giving it one hell of a lash, and like leaving it all on the field. And if you get beat, then you get beat. But at the minute, I think the Raps are hurling maybe a gear or two underneath themselves. The Martins are definitely doing it. Corey are probably not. They're sort of putting teams to the sword. Like, they got a chance to do it again all day, and they didn't lay up. Like, Martins are happy winning the game by 5 or 6 points. It's a win is a win. Like, and the Raps the same thing. That's one thing when Owler were on top. They could beat you by 30 points. Those 30 points you were getting beat by, and that's what made them unbelievable champions. Like, I admire them. Like, they were unbelievable. They were like Ratnor and Butler's Alley. When they get a chance on you to put it away, that's why I'm not 100% sure that the Martins, if they do get to the top and to the level that Owler get, I don't know if they have that killer instinct like Owler have to stay there for that length of time. Might win one, might lose one, win another one. That's not saying they're not a great team, but Owler had something special like that. They were ruthless. Like, we were up there playing an intermediate game one day last year. I was there before. There was 15 of them training. There was no one else training. They were training themselves. And that was Keith Rosser, Rory Jacob, Darren Stamp was playing at the time. They were all doing their home bit. Like, how many other clubs are doing that? Like, Thomas probably done Butler's Alley too, I don't know. And Ratnor, were probably Mark Byrne and them lads did. You know, like, are the other clubs ready to take that mantle on? Like, that's a big mantle to take on.
I would have loved Colin to do that for us as well back in our day.
What, 5 or 6 years ago, isn't it?
Just to train a little bit more than us.
Would it be fair to say that with Owlert having the reign they had for so long, that over the last couple of years that clubs were going into the senior championship with the idea, let's just stay up this year, stay out of relegation?
I don't know. I was the opposite anyhow when I played. I'd love to.
But you thought you could beat the world though, Colin, on your own.
Well, that is the right attitude to have.
Well, there was times he was trying to kill the world. Anyway, I used to have to stand beside him, Helen, I tell you.
I think, were you taking claim to fame of giving Larry Murphy the flat nose he has or something?
I think like that.
Tell you what, if you ran into an elephant, you wouldn't flatten that nose.
No, but like I think teams should relish the challenge. Like, well, we were going to hurt say Butler's Alley, and I just said because Tom's on saying, if I wasn't on Tom, I'd have a face on me. I wanted to be on him. If
you want to be playing the best players.
You have to challenge yourself. Like, if you're just playing hurling or any sport just for the sake of playing it, like, go play junior or something like that. Don't be playing senior. And I was back to the ropes and we were playing Owler, but I still thought we were going to beat him. I said, I can't delighted we were playing Owler. And to beat us by 20-something points in the park, right? But they took it on the chin. Like, you play it to play the best. You don't play it.
That's what I was talking about. If you go back in history, we played Buffers Alley more so than we played Ratnor, and you could see it every time you went out to play them teams. They put the fear in you half the time when you went out to play.
Tom, I think if you weren't here, they wouldn't be talking about Buffers Alley as much. Do you think that?
We would, because I tell you, I'll never forget that dressing room the day we beat Howard in Belfield a couple of weeks ago. And Ian O'Connor, now they knew they were in relegation, and myself and Zach Welch went in, and Zach said a few words, and I looked around that dressing room, and it's the first time I ever walked into a Buffers Alley dressing room where it was such a lull, and Zach said a few words, and I thought he was dead right in what he said about the traditional Buffers Alley team. Every team in the county feared Buffers Alley every time we went down to play. They were hoping they wanted to beat them. We wanted to beat them and knock them out so you would go around as proud as punch after beating Buffers Alley. But they were the hardest team in the county to crack because their physicality, their toughness, and the will to win, and the drive that they got from the top, from the leaders within Tony Dorn, Mick Butler, these lads. They drove the likes of Tom and Colin Whelan and Sean Whelan on for years, and they kept that tradition going. And that's what Colin is all about. When you're going out to play for your club, you're going out to play to die for your club because you want to win. And if you're not prepared to do that, I tell them, go to the bingo, son. Go away.
Go to the bingo, says Larry.
But I was just saying, Helen, too, that when Oulart were dominant, they were winning the championships fairly comfortably. You know, I remember, say, when Buffers Alley had a bit of a run, but even the year they were lucky enough to get to a Club of Ireland, they drew with Club On in the county semi-final, and some would still say they robbed Club On in the county semi-final. Yeah. They drew with them, beat them on a replay. They were 13 points to 4 down to Rathnewer in the final. They drew and they beat Rathnewer on a replay. The club hurling was so close, and you know, there were teams so unlucky. And to be honest with you, Buffers Alley breezed through the club championship, but in Wexford, that was where the real battles were, you know. And there's great Harriers teams that time. There was great Club On team. The Raps were very good. Rathnewer obviously Oulart, but there was not. You never take anything for granted. Very, very tight games that time. But the training that time was so different. Like, I mean, you know, you went out and heard a bit of a game and training.
Even going to the matches at Belfield, whether you were out of the championship or in the championship, you go to watch a match, say Rathnewer and Buffers Alley in Belfield. Oh my God, it was savage stuff.
And you know what?
Great.
I know we're on a completely different subject, Helen, but after we train, you might go to Morris Castle for chips, or you'll either go there or somewhere for a night in. After every Sunday match, you were down, you'd probably meet the boys, you'd have a drink, and I'm not promoting drinking culture. I just hope that's not going, like, we're gone so professional now that the clubs are playing today, we're playing next week, and we wouldn't want to lose the sport part of it either now, you know. I'm not saying we are, but Jesus, it's gone fairly professional. Like, I would like to be running some
it's all
today
about diet now and physical training and recovery.
It's really taking the fun out of it, you know. But you know, to be fair to Sack Welsh this year, when Sack came in and took over, after 1 or 2 sessions, after 1 or 2 matches, they brought us back to the Gaelic. You had a little bit of a barbecue, get a pint if you want a pint, or as Lucas said, and off you go. You brought them all in together just to gel them back together a bit. We thought we were actually losing our identity. While lads, after training, go on their own way. After a match, go wherever they like. You know, this is a team. You have to team bond, team players together. And I think that helped us an awful lot this year, just to get our attitude back up and get our fitness levels back up, and to save us from being in relegation, really.
And we usually have a bit of a row, Colin, after the game as well, just.
Or in the middle. Well, they'll definitely be around. If Colin didn't get a quarter about, they'll definitely be around anyway.
Just like we're talking, like, this is why when we were playing, I was blessed to get on a good team, and as I said, we were competitive. We only won 1 championship, but we were competitive, and we were all. But every game was competitive. Like, we remember going to play, it was a Bunclody one day, it was in Buffers Alley, Monamalin, and we scraped over, right? And like, we would have been red hot favourites, but at the time it was knockout. So you perform, or you sit at home, or sit up in the stand, and like, there was games that were just, you had to die for the game, and I'm hoping and praying, like, because the games coming up to now haven't been to a high enough standard for me anyhow. That's just me. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I'm hoping from quarterfinals on that this is knockout. I want to see your
people dying in their boots.
Well, that's what it should mean to them, you know what I mean? And that's what, like, to win a county final, senior county final, like, was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Like, actually to get there and get over the line, it's an unbelievable feeling, and it was worth all the hardship. Like, I'm just wondering, are they willing to put in this extra yard? It's alright coming to the gym and all that, but when the ball is there 50-50, the 6-pack won't win it for you. It's the one that's up over.